always look at the 5th house from your Rahu. Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel, Astro Assurance. Once we get trapped into any vicious cycle, the cycle may be of relationship or career or financially, getting to do well or not doing well, or maybe a runoff again and again with authority figures, with the bosses, or with matters of health. Sometimes we don't seem to be able to come out of that cycle. So for example, some people seem to be getting all the bad luck only in romance or generally in romance. So none of their romantic relationships seem to be fruitful or fructifying or ending up in a long-term committed relationship. They seem to be having one breakup, or they may be seen to be moving from one breakup to the other, not being able to sustain a relationship beyond sometimes a few months, sometimes a few years. And sometimes they come on the verge of getting into a committed relationship and then getting out. Sometimes it may happen also in terms of settling in a long-term committed relationship through a marriage. Here it is not so much about a romance failing. They may be doing very well in their romance, no hiccups happening, but when it comes to marriage and settling down, while on the verge of getting married, the relationship seems to be souring for some reason or the other. Then another relationship starts, maybe for another 2 or 3 years, and then same cycle starts again. Yet another relationship seems to be souring just on the verge of marriage, and that relationship may also fail. Sometimes it may not happen with reference to a relationship, but maybe to an investment. You may be earning well enough, you may be earning decent. However, whenever you make an investment, either in a property or in the stock market, the share market or cryptocurrency, wherever you make an investment, all your investments seem to be going south. Sometimes we just don't seem to be saving enough money. Anytime some bank balance accumulates, we seem to be having some urgent need, and almost the whole of the bank balance seems to be wiped out, only for us to start all over again. And that big plan that we have in store for us, because of which we wanted to make that bank balance accumulate, never seems to happen. Sometimes it could be related to health. We seem to be moving from one health challenge to the other. We sometimes feel that okay, this problem has been sorted out, but by the time a few months pass, something or the other happens, or the same thing becomes chronic, keeps coming back. So sometimes we are all the time struggling either with sugar, diabetes, cholesterol, weight related challenges, maybe hormonal challenges, or some challenges with our digestive system, or maybe our moods, our emotions. Something or the other seems to be going wrong every now and then. And sometimes we just don't seem to be doing well in our careers. Our career just doesn't seem to be taking off. Even after years together, we just don't seem to be enjoying those promotions, those growth. And sometimes we have a run-ins with our bosses. We never seem to be getting the right bosses. Very seldom we may get a boss, a good or maybe an amiable boss, but then that particular relationship, that particular tenure with that boss doesn't last long. And we end up, or we seem to end up getting most of the time bad bosses or horrible bosses. So how do we break this vicious cycle, whether it is finance related, romance related, relationship related, career related, or related to health? Or is there a reason, astrological reason, why we seem to be getting into it? And what are the remedies? How do we solve that? Let's start with the first or the low hanging fruits, which is romance, because all of us seem to be passing through that phase of romance where we either get into a long-term committed relationship, or we also go through those ups and downs. But for some of us, we may be going through from one bad cycle to the other, and that whole cycle never seems to be ending. So generally here, the astrological placements from which we are able to identify, is there some chronic challenge with relation to a romantic liaisons, you can see the dignity of the fifth house, the fifth lord, Venus, which gets us connected to romantic relations, and see if there are any malefics which are either associated with the fifth house, aspecting the fifth house, or conjunct with the fifth lord, and also any doshas present in the fifth house, whether it is Vish dosha or it is a Shrapit dosha or any such related doshas. The other is if you have Saturn also placed in the fifth house with any malefic aspect either on the fifth house or on the seventh house or on the fourth house, then too it may not allow the romance to blossom enough to end up into a committed relationship. We may have one breakup of the other. The other could be Rahu placed in the fifth house, because of which we ourselves don't seem to be making up our mind. By the time we seem to be making up our mind, the other person would have moved on. Some challenge may happen, because of which we are not able to take the relationship further. And sometimes it may happen, we go through one breakup, we may get into another relationship only to realize the first one was better than the next one that we are into. And when we move on from romantic relations into a proper committed long-term relationship, sometimes the romantic relationships don't seem to be ending up in a marriage, and sometimes even when we are not looking at a relationship or long-term committed relationship through a romantic liaison, but we want to do a practical marriage, a practical relationship, knowing the person very well, meeting up a few times, and then trying to culminate it into a long-term committed relationship, then too sometimes we seem to be coming close and then the relationship doesn't happen. This happens generally when both the fourth lord and the seventh lord and the fourth house and the seventh house seem to be highly afflicted. For example, if Saturn is in the Lagna aspecting the seventh house when another malefic is in the fourth house, or Saturn is in the 10th house aspecting the fourth house where another malefic is placed either in the fourth or in the seventh house, or a malefic is placed conjunct to the seventh house, or if Ketu is in the seventh house with another malefic there, or Ketu or Sun or Rahu or Sun is placed in the seventh house, Ketu or Rahu are placed with another two planets in the seventh house, even if it's one of them is a benefic while the other is a malefic, the seventh lord goes into the sixth house, then too even before the relationship may happen, the relationship may break up even before getting into a committed relationship or getting into a socially accepted relationship, such as going through the vows or going through the nikah as for Muslims, or doing the Saat Feras as in the Hindus, or whatever community you may be belonging to. The socially accepted, culturally accepted that festival that is done or the ritual that is done to bring two people together to get into the culmination there, or to go through a legal marriage, a registered marriage may not also happen, especially if the sixth house has either the fourth or the seventh or both present there, and either Rahu or Ketu or any malefic or any two malefics getting into the seventh house. And on top of that, if seventh lord is also afflicted and your Navamsa is also afflicted, because for marriage the Navamsa becomes very important, especially either the fourth house is strongly afflicted in the Navamsa with Saturn present there, or Saturn is present in the seventh house in the Navamsa, or either Rahu or Ketu are present in the seventh house along with the malefic, while the seventh house of the Lagna chart is also afflicted. If both are afflicted, both the Lagna chart, seventh or fourth house are afflicted, or fourth or seventh lord are afflicted, as well as the in the Navamsa fourth and seventh lord or fourth or seventh houses are afflicted with some doshas in that, with some challenging aspects on them, then to the relationship may not happen. You will go from one cycle to the other, never marrying, or one marriage breaks up after a few years and then you get into another marriage, then the second relationship also seems to be going south. And so you have to be very careful when the first breaks up, and if you seem to be hurtling towards a cycle where the second also seems to be in some turmoil, you need to be very careful. Look into your horoscope and understand, are you getting into, or are you already into a vicious cycle of one relationship breaking and getting into another one, and that will continue for some time. Third, we also seem to sometimes have a run-in with the financial challenges, where we seem to not be able to accumulate any money, and there is always a dearth of money. We end up spending more money than we are able to accumulate, and generally we may be having more expenses than we have savings. And also it may happen that every now and then we seem to be losing our earning revenue or our opportunity of earning, or a source of livelihood itself may be in questionable area. So that's what can be something which is again and again putting us into financial challenges, never allowing us to accumulate money or even earn enough money. We may be able to do some job, but it doesn't give us enough money. There is hardly any scope for growth, or by the time we reach a scope for growth, we seem to lose it, or something or the other happens. Sometimes the organization that we work in never is in a position to give us higher growth. In such a challenging situation, we need to look at the condition or the dignity of the second house, the fifth house of gains, the ninth house of gains, and the 11th house. These four houses are the most important houses for financial health point of view. Any of these houses afflicted, there can be a small challenge. Two of these houses get afflicted with malefics placed in them and malefic doshas in them. Their lords are in not good dignity. Any of their lords is in eclipse or in combustion, or placed under the aspect of either Saturn, or placed under the aspect or with Saturn or with Ketu. Especially the 9th or the 11th house also strongly afflicted, then you may get regular challenges from a financial perspective. Then if you are in a Sakata Yoga, I have already made a video on Sakata Yoga, or in a Kendrum Dosha also I made a video just to bring you up on speed. Kendrum Dosha is where on either side of moon is placed alone. On either side of moon, both the houses are empty. Or if you are in a Papkatri Dosha, Papkatri is where a benefic is placed with two malefics on either side. So you have two malefics, such as for example Saturn or Mars on either side of Jupiter, or Ketu or Saturn on either side of Venus. Then there may be a challenge because the Papkatri Dosha is active. The strongest impact may be when there are malefics on either side of either Jupiter or of Venus, or both are afflicted, or Venus is very strongly afflicted and any of the four house lords, 2nd, 5th, 9th or 11th, or two of them strongly afflicted. Then too you will go through the same cycle of losing your financial perspective, not being able to accumulate money, not being able to do well financially. Then many of us may also have a challenge with relation to our careers, our jobs. We never seem to be getting the growth. We never seem to be getting into a takeoff mode. We seem to be ambling along slowly. There is not much life in the career. Sometimes we may not be enjoying the job that we are doing, the career that we are in, the brand that we are working in, the organization we are with, or even the team that we are working with. So the career seems to be stagnant, never taking off, or one after the other we lose one job and then struggle to find another one. There may be long periods of joblessness in between. Why do we get into this cycle? So generally here we need to look at the health of these four houses. The second house of income, which is related to your career or work. Then the fifth house, which is the 8th to the 10th house. If the fifth house has malefics, then every now and then upheaval in your career will come about. If the sixth house is strongly afflicted, the sixth house is the house of service, working under someone, then too the challenges may happen. And the 10th house of your karma, your workplace, if that is strongly afflicted, then too you may have a challenge. If any two of them are afflicted, 2 or 5th, 6th or 10th, 5th or 10th, then too you may have big challenges, large challenges, and regularly you may be going to the same cycle of losing one job, not being able to get growth in a job, and having a stagnant job. This can be even pronounced if any bad dosha gets into these houses. For example, Ketu gets either in the 6th or the 10th house, then it could be a bigger challenge. And adding to that could be another malefic which is placed either in the 6th or in the 10th house, or aspecting the 6th or the 10th house. This can be stronger if the Lagna Lord is also in bad dignity. Then some of us may be having a challenge with the health. Every now and then our health seems to be going through one cycle after the other of poor health, regularly needing to go and see the doctor, going to the clinics, and sometimes even hospitalization. Some people I have known have gone through 3, 4, 5 surgeries over the span of 10 to 15 years. Sometimes within 5 to 6 years they have gone through 2 or 3 surgeries also. Sometimes somebody may also have that kind of an affliction. This generally comes about when these two dusthanas are very strongly afflicted, the 6th house and the 8th house, and on top of that, if the Lagna Lord, the Lagna itself is in poor dignity, then too there may be a challenge. For example, if Ketu gets into the Lagna or two malefics get into the Lagna where you have a benefic either in the 6th house or the 8th house, or two malefics placed in the 6th house or the 8th house, a bad dosha connected to any of those areas, especially if there are two malefics in the 6th house, or if a benefic goes into any of these houses, even the 12th house, then you may have regular challenges, regular problems, regular run-ins, and every now and then needing hospitalization or medical attention, or your immune system may be so poor that you get into chronic challenges every now and then. So what do we do when we need to overcome the challenges of any of these cycles, whether it's health, whether it's finance, whether it's romance, whether it's relationship, or whether it is related to career or related to our bosses? First and foremost, we need to see what are the karakatwas of those houses specifically related to that particular area. So whichever is the karakatva, for example, if it's about a career, then Saturn becomes very, very important, the 10th Lord becomes very, very important, and Venus becomes very, very important, because these three are very strongly related to career, growth in career, our ability to work with a good rapport with the seniors, especially authority figures, bosses, and the ability to earn more material benefits, material favors from these jobs. So it's very important that the 10th Lord, Saturn and Venus are in good health. And what we need to do is we need to be on the best character related to these planets. So if we are connected to a job and we have that problem, the cycle related to the job is in a problem, then we need to be on a best behavior related to Saturn and Venus and the 10th Lord. Say for example, if the 10th Lord is Mars, then we need to be somebody who is very energetic, very assertive in our job, but we need to be more soft spoken, because many times Mars makes us blurt out those things, give into those actions, show that anger, we may not be able to take that bad. So if we spoil any of the karakatwas of the planet which is ruling the 10th house, then we can be in a problem. Second, with related to Saturn, if we treat poorly those people who work below us, those people, the security guard, the person who may be giving us tea or coffee at work, or the driver, the chauffeur, or anybody who works for us, whether there is the plumber, there is the carpenter, anyone who does any service to us, if we treat any of these people poorly, we look down upon these people. And if we also spoil Saturn by mistreating or being insulting to our elders, to our seniors, then too we may get challenges. And especially in a relationship, if we treat the better half or the other person not very well, we don't give them proper respect, we treat them poorly, we use harsh words against them, when we spoil Venus, both from a career point of view and from a relationship point of view. Especially related to relationship, we need to keep our Venus very, very good. We need to groom ourselves very well. We need to always be smelling good. We need to keep our houses very spick and span. We need to wear good colors. We should not always be wearing dark colored clothes, especially if you have a poor Saturn. Then we will also be afflicting our Venus. Venus likes well groomed people, good well smelling people, good looking people. So we need to really work on a look and a character. We should not be somebody who's a Casanova or trying to look at different relations and seeing whether this will fit the bill or that will fit the bill, or exploring options. I want to explore if this option will work, or I want to explore if that option will work. If you are exploring any option, keep that option, see for a few months if that works. If not, say goodbye, then move on to another option. Don't explore 2 or 3 options at the same time. The other is donate related to the karakatva of the planet. If it's about relationship, not only treat the Venus well, opposite gender very well, be loyal, be committed, be straightforward, and don't lie. Don't explore many options at the same time. Don't get into even a emotional cheating mode with people. Keep your character very good and donate related to that particular item. Say for example, if it's Saturn, donate to an old age home, donate to the poor. If it's about Venus relationship, donate to a cause for the opposite gender. There are a lot of institutions who, if you are a man, donate to a Donate to a charity which takes care of women, especially those women who may be themselves in some challenges. If your health has a challenge, then whichever is your Lagna Lord, Mars, donate in the charities for poor people, for those people who themselves are sick, who themselves are not able to take care of their health. Donate to a hospital who may be taking care of cancer survivors or in cancer treatment, for example like AIDS or tuberculosis and so forth. If it's about money, finance, then both Venus and Jupiter should be treated well, because then you may be able to attract more gains. Especially the 5th Lord and the 9th Lord, whichever are the house lords of these houses, you should also be on a good behavior related to these planets and also donate in the causes of these planets. The best way to keep a good Jupiter is to donate to a school, donate to a charity which takes care of higher education, pays for the fees of higher education or for children. Treat your gurus very well, treat your father very well. If you treat your father very well, regularly are in touch with father, do things for the father, treat the father with respect, seek the blessings of the father, then you both improve, both your sun as well as Jupiter. Sun is also responsible for growth in your career, your ability to shine, as well as your immune system, your health, overall health, your overall respect, your dignity in society. So keep this in mind, especially Jupiter and Sun related to both your career, your health as well as gains. So friends, in the end, whichever cycle you are in, first of all, understand the placements both in your Lagna chart as well as in your Navamsa, whether those particular houses themselves are in strong affliction, because the Lagna and the Navamsa together will be giving you higher probabilities of whether a certain cycle will repeat for you or not, and have you been caught in that vicious cycle or not. And secondly, do these remedies, be on their best character related to these planets, donate in those causes, and be true to the character and the personality of the planet on the positive side rather than on the negative side. And now for the tip of the day before we close, always look at the 5th house from your Rahu and see what are the opportunities the 5th house from Rahu is creating, both in your Lagna chart and your Navamsa, because 5th from Rahu can be the house from where you may get the biggest gains, the biggest opportunities. So the dignity of the 5th house from Rahu and the dignity of the 5th Lord from Rahu can become one of the biggest gain bringers in your life. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you are looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me at the link given below. Till some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off.